good afternoon to you this Saturday. Along with Mike out of this world Mars down there in the blue shirt. King Conrad DeLong in his mint-colored shirt. I'm Don Armstrong.
In the black shirt.
Yep. And matter of fact, the high school sports teams from the city that I was born in, Waukesha, were called the Waukesha Black Shirts. Isn't that bizarre?
There's got to be a story behind that.
I guess. I don't know. But they had black shirts. So they're
either that or a lack of imagination.
Well, that's probably closer to it.
Kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, Cheeseheads was already taken, so I mean, what else are they going to do?
Yeah, they didn't. Back then, we didn't do Cheeseheads. That was a thing I think that came out of the '60s or maybe the '70s.
And I know Packers was about meat packing.
Correct. So there's that. Well, we don't want to get into Wisconsin history, but I just thought that I would bring that up as I was trying to describe the people that are sitting on the dais here. And sitting next to me in a black shirt is Richard Tomlin from Apex Auto Works. And it's good to see you again and to talk to you and try to add more delight and confusion to my life.
That's good.
Apparently so. If nothing else, it's entertaining.
We all have life goals.
Yeah, that's right. So we were talking about some of the projects that Richard has going on in the Apex Motor Works studio.
Okay.
We'll call it that.
That's
because
good.
it's much more glamorous than the garage.
That's just true.
And, you create things in the studio. And that's what you're doing down there. And we were talking about the Bronco that you're currently changing around to make it an open top, bikini top vehicle. And sounds like a fun vehicle. And we were trying to figure out when the first Ford Bronco came to market. Did we ever find that out?
Yeah, 1966 seems to be the general consensus.
Yeah, Travis Daines popped in and said 66, and you'd looked on the internet and it said 66.
66. So is it model year 66?
Model year 66. And the early ones were all four cylinders. It wasn't until, I think, 69 when they brought the 302 V8 in it.
Did they ever put a straight six in it? No.
No, not that I'm
aware of. It may have, but I think it was either a 4 or the V8.
Interesting.
And the 4 was relatively gutless.
Because in 66, I mean, the straight sixes were plentiful.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they put them in Novas and Malibus, everything.
Well, and they had one they were putting in the Mustang, too.
Oh, yeah, the 200 cubic inch inline six.
That's right.
Lots of torque.
Yeah. It's interesting that it would be a 4-cylinder.
Well, I think part of that just had to do with how much space is under the hood. The Mustang had a long nose on it.
Yep.
The Bronco doesn't.
Right.
And even in the V8, it kind of tucks a little bit under the.
Did you have to make any modifications to the firewall to get this V8 in there?
No, V8 fits pretty easily. The issue you get into with us in Houston is cooling. So getting a large enough radiator, big electric fans, duct all your air, keep it flowing across. It's still difficult. The 3 recent ones we've worked on, they're all 351s, so even a little bit bigger than a 305. I don't think they make much more power. Just looks a little different.
So you're putting 351 Windsor or Cleveland's in it?
Windsors.
Okay.
So
a lot more power.
Yeah. I mean, it's still Bronco, right? We're not drag racing.
Still Ford.
So
still playing in the sand.
I was told this decades ago, and I can't remember. What's the difference between a Cleveland and a Windsor, other than the cities that they were built in? But there is a difference.
Heads are the main thing.
Well, heads and block, actually.
The block difference.
The way that the crankshaft is mounted in the block is much stronger in a Cleveland than it is in a Windsor. So that the casting, the webbing of the crankshaft was deeper and longer on a Cleveland, which meant that you could put a lot more power in it because there's a lot more meat down there holding the crankshaft in place.
Interesting. So why didn't they just go with that from the beginning?
Good question. I have no idea.
A bean counter got in the way.
Yeah, yes, they do.
That's what I always heard, because the Windsor was kind of the 2-barrel engine that went into the passenger cars, and anything that needed a little more juice, whether it be in the trucks or the Mustangs or even some of the Fairlanes and stuff, when they started pushing them, they always got the Cleveland engine. But
were there any differences? Like, was it a 2-bolt main or a 4-bolt main?
I think it was all 2-bolts.
They're all 2-bolt.
I don't think they ever went the 4-bolt.
But very few of the parts, the heads, the block, nothing would interchange between them. It was really weird that they would do that.
Huh. How long did they go with that setup?
With the Cleveland?
With the Cleveland and Windsor, offering both.
About 4 or 5 years. It wasn't long. It really wasn't long.
Kind of like the 409.
Well, yeah, the 348/409. GM only had those back in the very late 50s and early 60s. It did extend in the truck platform longer, but in the car platform, it was really only about 4 or 5 years.
Well, in the 90s, NASCAR, the C3, and eventually what they called the D3 was still a 351 base.
Right.
As well for the NASCAR stuff, but that's much higher end.
Do they still make those engines? No.
Well, somebody makes them.
I'm sure somewhere.
Yeah, but the factory, I mean, it's not a Ford product anymore. I don't think
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, I had to ask.
Do you need one?
No, I do not need one. No,
Okay.
I'm out of that business. When the in-wheel time machine went to Atlanta, its new home, I officially retired the Don Armstrong garage. It no longer exists. I did tell you that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just sitting here thinking, the Corvair went to the Super Bowl and we're not.
Well, there's that. Yeah. Yeah, and I can't imagine that it would be at the game, but who knows? Maybe the guy's going to drive it there.
Maybe the feature car.
I highly doubt it, but
It's a parade lap car.
it's a parade lap car. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Easy to push.
Perfect.
So mean.
Well, no, it's truthful, actually, but at any rate. So we were talking about the Bronco. We talked about the modifications that you made to it. And did it come with the V8 engine, or did you put that in there?
No, it came with a V8. They bought it from a guy down south, Freeport area. So it has seen a lot of beach use. That's probably a lot of the reason it's got so much rust in it.
Yeah. And so have you patched up all the rust holes in it?
Cut out all the floors, put new floors in, and then since it's going to be...
Did you build floors, or
we
did
built
you
them.
buy them?
It's all pretty much flat in that thing. You've got little step downs in the front. But we did the bed liner on the inside like they're doing on a lot of the modern Jeeps. So when you're done, you literally just park it on an incline, put the hose in it, wash all the sand out.
Right.
So super easy to clean and maintain, and then went to the underside, undercoated it front to back. So
that's to hide the rust you didn't clean up.
Oh, I hope we got it all. It was brutal cleaning that stuff off.
I can just imagine.
So it's a wire wheel and a little bit of patience.
Did you do a body off?
No. You just on the Bronco you can get under all but probably 8 inches front and rear without taking the body off.
Wow.
Well, and that was one of the problems with it, was it rusted so bad because they didn't do a good job of sealing the truck itself. Yeah, it was very utilitarian in its design and its price, because actually back in those days it was actually quite affordable.
And I bet no one at the table when they were designing it expected us to be working on them in 2018 as a toy.
Or that you would see one pop up on the internet once in a while for $50,000.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now you can buy the new ones. So you can buy frame, every metal panel that was originally made on this, just like the Camaros, the Mustangs, the 55 that's being redone in China. Dicor, I think is the name of the company. But they're now selling the Bronco the same way. So you can build your own new Bronco, steal a VIN off of an old one, swap it over. You've got a brand new Bronco.
And it's actually
but an old 60s model.
It's that style. It looks identical to it, and it is basically the molds, but it's brand new steel.
Because they repop all the metal.
Yep.
And actually that Bronco is quite popular in the off-road racing, the Core, the Baja races, 1,000 and 500.
There's one in Peterson right now. Peterson Museum. He actually won the 72, 73 Baja 500 in a Bronco. Has a big, what would look to be like a sprint car wing on top of it. Pretty crazy looking.
Well, the one thing that I remember about, all of those style vehicles, the Blazer, the Bronco, whatever, that with that short wheelbase, they had a tendency to roll over pretty easy.
Yeah, these are pretty tip happy. It's a Jeep, but taller. More twisted.
Right.
A much more high center of gravity.
He's got all these pictures on his phone, but he doesn't share them with us, so we can't put them up.
That also makes it easier, though, to roll it back over after it rolls. You can get it back up on its wheels.
Yeah, sure.
Don't do that.
If you're strapped in correctly and it doesn't roll on
Then you push it real hard.
Yeah. Okay, so you got that project going on. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about briefly is this new it's actually just a liquid absorbent that you've dreamed up and actually have patent pending on.
Correct. Lots of light late nights drinking beer, cleaning up messes that we made in the shop.
So in other words, kitty litter, but this is not anywhere close to looking like kitty litter.
No, it looks like a
something
illegal
John
substance
DeLorean was selling at one point.
Yeah, John DeLorean sold some stuff that looked like that.
Cocaine.
Yeah,
it looks like cocaine.
Looks
White
like
powder.
Hop on whiteponydry.com. You can take a look at it, but it's an immediate spill encapsulation.
So what the heck does that mean?
As soon as it contacts the liquid, it starts absorbing it. And it takes less than 15 seconds to clean up pretty much any spill with this product.
And the videos you were showing us earlier, I thought were real cool because as the powder lands on the liquid, and you showed us coolant, you showed us oil, Marvel Mystery Oil, kind of a collection of things, it clumps together as well, so it's easier to manage that to dispose of.
Right, and then it changes the color to whatever you're picking up, from the white to either the green of the antifreeze or the black of the oil. And at that point, you know what you've used, what you haven't, because it clumps. You can actually separate it, reuse it.
And had we planned this ahead, we could have put those videos up for you while we're here.
Yeah, that's just some things are just badly planned, you know?
Yeah.
Show up and you never know what you're going to talk about or what triggers Don's going to have that day. So.
But you're offering an alternative product versus what 99% of the shops out there use, which are what Don calls kitty litter.
Right.
It's those little brown pebbles.
I use literally kitty litter.
The concern and where we started working on this was the time, because I had one of my employees that fussed at me because I was upset of him not cleaning the shop area, because when customers walk in, you want it to look somewhat clean. It's a shop, but it needs to be somewhat clean.
Right.
He's like, I don't get paid to clean. I get paid to turn wrenches. And he's right. I don't pay him to clean.
I've
but
said that.
When I have the ability to make a product that we can clean faster and better, then I think I have a product I can take to market. So we chased the patent pending. We went to PRI with it. We've been to Daytona. 24 hours. We've got racetracks that are using it. Plenty of shops around the country. Canada, UK. Products are growing.
How does it do in the wind?
It is light. The wind will move it around, but we've used it at the racetracks, and it's a heavy enough solid that basically the windier it is, just the closer you are to the ground with it.
So when you say that it clumps, what does it look like? A pancake cooking in the frying pan, or
no? That's even hard to describe. Just like nuggets.
I
just
see.
Forms nuggets.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, and it's very important in the auto racing field because for them, it's critical to clean up and dry the track.
Especially oil. What
time.
A mess.
Yep.
Yeah, that's. I'm impressed if it'll do oil, because it just doesn't take very much oil to make a heck of a mess on the garage floor.
Or I have that multi-million-dollar race car that goes spinning into the wall somewhere.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Well, antifreeze is just as bad. You know,
Just as slick.
antifreeze is actually, to me, antifreeze is a little harder to clean. To get off the floor of a concrete floor because it tends to absorb in.
That glycol is
Right.
Yeah, that's true. But the oil just
oil usually spreads around. When you're using the traditional kitty litter or the absorb rags, as we call them, you're spending more smearing it around than you are.
Yeah, you got to kind of work it in there a little bit to pick it all up.
Yeah, we had a 4x4 block when I was a kid. His dad was a drag racer and always blowing up motors. But we had a 4x4 block that was painted blue, and that's what I did Sunday mornings. Was I ground the kitty litter, with this 4x4 block into the driveway and swept it all up. So I've been doing it for a while.
Great job.
Yeah.
The other thing you see in a lot of shops is what we're calling the kitty litter, the Speedy Dry, I think is one of the brand names of it. And I did this when I was turning wrenches. You'd spread it on the floor and
walk away
way later in the day. So you'd be tracking it
all over.
Everywhere you'd walk, you'd track it into a customer's car if you weren't careful. Because it didn't pick up immediately. It took time for it to pick up.